What's up guys, JNO here, and welcome to another episode of the NeXt on FMScout channel. Before we get into the episode of the NeXt R9, that's Ronaldo, the original Brazilian version, let me just have a quick second to explain to you all what this series is about, because got a lot of comments and I want you all to know that I read the comments and take your feedback on board. This series takes screenshots of players from the past, from Championship Manager, from Football Manager, and then takes those statistics and tries to find the equivalent in Football Manager 2016. So for example, with the Thierry Henry, the NeXt, people complained that Dybala and Anthony Martial weren't there, but the fact is their stats didn't match closely enough to Thierry Henry's stats in 2001 or 2002 season, which is when I got the stats from. So, with that in mind, here is Ronaldo, the Brazilian version stats coming up on screen right now. So as you can see on the screen, the stats that Championship Manager Sports Interactive gave to Ronaldo when he was 20 at Inter Milan and had 8 caps was creativity 20, dribbling and flair 20, pace of 18, shooting of 20 and technique of 20. Those are the standout stats. Now, the likelihood of us finding a striker with those stats in Football Manager 2016, I believe, are very slim. In fact, they're probably slim to none, purely because I don't feel like Sports Interactive and Football Manager give these type of stats to players anymore, if you're looking at the Messis and the Cristiano Ronaldos. And of course, Ronaldo at the time was one of the best strikers in the world, so his stats reflect that. So will we be able to find someone who in 5 to 10 years has stats similar to this? Well, let's have a look and see. Okay, first we're going to look at the players I found 5 seasons in. We're in May 2020 and the shortlist is in front of you of the players that most match the stats of Ronaldo when he was 20 years old on Championship Manager. Now if we just change it first to selection info, I'm just interested in seeing who has scored the most goals. And if we look, Hulk has scored 23 goals out of 34 appearances, but that would just be a little too easy, wouldn't it, suggesting Hulk as the next Ronaldo. So next down is Maximiliano Romero, and he got 21 goals in 32 games. So let's have a quick look at him. Okay, as you can see, he's got a finishing of 15, dribbling of 15, his flair is at 14, his pace is at 15, and his technique is at 14. So they're all above 14, which is a good start. He's only 21 at this age as well, so that is a pretty good start, and if someone got their hands on him and trained him up, potentially he could be the next Ronaldo. The only problem with that is he's Argentinian, so any Brazilians of course watching will not like that fact at all. The next one down is Rui Petro, who scored 20 goals in 39 appearances, which isn't as prolific as say Hulk was, but let's have a quick look at his stats. He plays for West Ham, Rui Petro, and he's only 22 years old. Rui Petro has dribbling of 15, finishing of 15, flair of 13, technique of 16, which is really good, and pace of 15. So again, for his age, in a couple of years' time, who knows how good he could be. Then we have Alexandre Lacazette, but at 48 appearances with only 18 goals, that isn't Ronaldo form to me, so I'm not going to check him out. We have Vincent Abubakar, 23 appearances, 13 as a substitute with 18 goals at 7.14 rating. We can have a quick look at him. Finishing is at 15, dribbling is at 15, flair is at 13, which is low, technique at 15 and pace at 15. So again, he could potentially be the next Ronaldo, but he is 28 5 years into the game, so if that's as good as it gets, then he's not anywhere close to Ronaldo's stats. Then we'll have one last quick look at Rui Petro. He's Brazilian, so potentially we may have the next Ronaldo here. Finishing of 13, which is nowhere near what Ronaldo would have had, but dribbling at 16, technique at 15, flair at 16 and pace at 15. You just really have to work on that shooting to get him anywhere near to Ronaldo's level. Okay, so now let's go 10 years into the future instead of 5 and see if anyone pops up twice in 2 different saves. This other save isn't the same save as this one, so it's 2 different save games that we're representing here, and see if any of these players pop up in that shortlist as well. Okay, so we have a different save here. We're now in 2026, the 3rd of June, and we can see there is one name that is jumping out at me who is in the shortlist again, but he is bottom of the goal scoring charts. If we look at the top of the goal scoring charts, there'll be a name that a lot of you recognise, and it is Mbolo. 42 appearances, 27 goals with a 7.42 average rating. If we have a look at his stats, finishing 16, dribbling 16, technique 16, flair 17, pace 16. Now that is looking really good. He's moved to Man United, he's 29, so this is him probably at his peak, but that is probably the closest so far that we've been to finding the next Ronaldo. Second highest scoring in the charts is Dybala and Franco Lopez. If we have a look at Dybala, I will point out that he isn't really the same build as Ronaldo was. He's now 32, but as far as stats go, dribbling 17, finishing 15, technique of 16, flair of 18, pace of 15. Again, that is a lot closer to Ronaldo than the players we were getting 5 seasons in. And Franco Lopez, who's still at Benfica by the looks of things, I believe he starts at Benfica as well, is 28 years old, and he's got finishing of 16, dribbling of 14, which needs some work, technique of 16, flair of 17, and pace of 15, which is not bad, and maybe he'd progress more if another league bought him. We then have Malcolm as well, but if we have a look at the stats, we have dribbling of 16, the finishing needs work at 13, but the technique 16, flair 16, and pace of 15 is pretty impressive. But again, I don't think his build really matches that of Ronaldo's, but he is Brazilian at least. We have Gabrielle Barbosa, which a lot of you will know of, although he had 40 appearances and only 19 goals, but with the stats of 15 dribbling, 17 finishing, technique 16, flair at 15, and pace at 16. Again, the stats aren't too bad. Alvaro Morata is also showing up now, with dribbling of 15, finishing of 16, technique of 17, flair of 15, and his pace needs a bit of work, but it is above the 14 mark. And Abubakar has shown up again, as well as Leo Baptiste, but at 34, Abubakar's stats have declined a lot. And as for Rui Petro, we can again see at 33 the stats have declined. So, who do I think is the best replacement for R9 in Football Manager 2016? And I personally think it comes down to 2 people. I think you can't look past Mbolo, who has the kind of build and the stats 10 years in that suggests to me he could be the best R9 replacement in Football Manager 2016. But I think we also have to give a shout out to Maximiliano Romero, who is twice in the shortlist. One save game he had great stats and great goal scoring record. This one not so much, but if someone were to buy him in their Football Manager save, I think you could work on these stats and make him something special. He's only 27 years old, 10 years into the game, and as far as I'm aware, you can pick him up for quite cheap at the beginning of the game. But to be honest, if you're a big club, you can get Mbolo quite easily as well. But with heights at 180 and Mbolo with a height at 185 centimetres, I think these are the players that most match what Ronaldo used to be. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And as football is such a subjective topic, as well as Football Manager, please make sure to leave down in the comments below who you think the R9 replacement is in Football Manager 2016. I love to read all your opinions. It's been great being on the channel once again. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you guys next time.